BTS News Today. That day, the atmosphere in the South Korean military barracks seemed as usual. The soldiers carry out their daily activities, ranging from physical exercises to administrative tasks. However, among them, there is one figure whose very existence steals the show: Jungkook. BTS members who are serving their military service. As one of the most famous idols in the world, Jungkook's presence in the military is in the public spotlight. Although he was treated just like any other soldier, there was no denying that there was extra security to him. However, who would have thought that, in a supposedly safe place, a huge threat lurks unnoticed? A few weeks earlier, a shocking incident occurred in the barracks dining room. Jungkook experienced severe nausea after eating his lunch. At first, he thought it was just an ordinary digestive problem caused by fatigue, but the symptoms are getting worse. His fellow soldiers immediately took him to the military medical unit. The doctors who examined him began to suspect when Jungkook showed unusual symptoms, such as extreme dizziness, cold sweat, and irregular heartbeat. They immediately conduct laboratory tests to determine the cause. The results were surprising. There were traces of toxic substances in his system. This news immediately caused a commotion throughout the military barracks. Who would have the heart to try to poison one of the biggest stars in this world? After the incident, the South Korean military immediately formed a special investigation team. Surveillance cameras in the dining room checked. The list of personnel on duty at that time was reviewed, and everyone who had access to Jungkook's food was interrogated. In the initial investigation, it was discovered that someone had mysteriously altered the contents of the food served to Jungkook. The figure was wearing a military uniform, but CCTV footage did not capture his face clearly. Meanwhile, Jungkook's condition gradually improved after receiving intensive treatment. However, the threats against him are not over yet. The military has stepped up security and restricted access to the area where Jungkook lives. After days of intensive investigation, one key piece of evidence was finally found. A soldier saw someone acting suspiciously near the barracks kitchen on the day of the incident. The man was seen carrying something that he then threw into the trash after the poisoning incident occurred. When the forensic team examined the trash, they find a small vial containing the same toxic substance found in Jungkook's body. This evidence leads to a suspect, a low-ranking soldier newly assigned to the barracks. The suspect was immediately taken into custody for further questioning. After hours of investigation and interrogation, the suspect finally confessed to his actions. However, the reason is really surprising. He claims to be part of an anti-idol group that believes that celebrities should not get preferential treatment, even in the military environment. The group feels that the presence of a superstar like Jungkook in the military undermines the essence of the country's obligations. They considered it a threat to the discipline and honor of the army. The suspect, who is a sympathizer of this group, decided to act in his own way by trying to get rid of Jungkook. However, there are other speculations circulating. Some conspiracy theories suggest that the perpetrator may simply be a pawn in a larger plan. Is there a bigger mastermind behind all this? When news of Jungkook's attempted poisoning spread, the world was in uproar. BTS fans' army showed their solidarity by condemning the act and urging authorities to ensure their idol's safety. International media also highlighted this incident, given how much influence Jungkook has in the entertainment world. The South Korean government has said it will ensure justice is served and the safety of celebrities serving in the military remains assured. After going through the military legal process, the suspect was finally sentenced to severe punishment for attempted murder and acts of sabotage against fellow soldiers. This decision gives a firm message that there is no tolerance for actions that threaten the lives of others, including a celebrity. Meanwhile, Jungkook himself finally returned to his usual activities in the military. Although this incident had shaken him, he chose to remain focused on carrying out his obligations responsibly. Although the case seems to have been completed, some people still believe that there is something that has not yet been revealed. Did the suspect really act alone? Or is there someone else who handles all this from the shadows? The military continues its investigation in secret. However, one thing is certain: Jungkook managed to survive this deadly threat, and the world is becoming increasingly aware of how fragile security is, even for those under military protection. Although the main suspect has been arrested and sentenced, the military investigation team still feels that something is off. The suspect's motive makes sense, but some details do not match the facts on the ground. For example, how could a low-ranking soldier gain access to the kitchen without anyone suspecting him? In addition, CCTV footage around the barracks area on the day of the incident showed unusual activity. Someone appeared to enter the kitchen area a few minutes before Jungkook's meal was prepared, but his face could not be identified because the camera appeared to be experiencing a technical glitch at the time. One of the investigators, Lieutenant Kim, feels that there is something bigger behind this. He made a request to investigate more deeply, including tracing the communication made by the suspect before the incident occurred. After obtaining permission, the military cyber forensics team began investigating the suspect's communication records. What they found was surprising. The suspect was linked to an anonymous account on the dark web that often discussed conspiracy theories about celebrities serving in the military. The account, which goes by the pseudonym Shadow Sentinel, often spreads hate against K-pop idols, claiming that they were a threat to military discipline. Even more shocking, however, was the presence of suspicious transactions in the suspect's account a few weeks before the attempted murder occurred. A large amount of money came into his account from an untraceable source. This raises new questions. Is the suspect really acting alone, or is he just a pawn in a bigger game? Lieutenant Kim and his team tried to further trace the account of Shadow Sentinel. After hours of in-depth analysis, they finally found clues that the account was connected to an IP address outside of South Korea. More astonishingly, the IP comes from a region previously associated with foreign espionage activities. This leads to a new theory. Could there be outsiders trying to destabilize South Korea by targeting one of the country's most influential figures? Jungkook is not only a singer, but also a symbol of Korean culture that has millions of followers around the world. If something were to happen to him, the repercussions would not only shake the entertainment world, but could also trigger social and political tensions. The military now faces a major dilemma. If there is outside interference, this is no longer just an ordinary criminal case, but already a threat to national security. Because the greater the scale of investigation, the authorities held a closed-door meeting at the headquarters of South Korean intelligence in Seoul. High-ranking officials from the military, intelligence, and even government representatives were present at this meeting. During the meeting, the report of the investigation team was presented. The fact that there is a possibility of outside involvement makes the atmosphere tense. Whatever is going on here, we have to handle it carefully, said General Park, one of the military's top brass. If this is really an operation from a foreign party, we cannot allow this to develop into an international incident. The decision was taken. They will continue the investigation in secret, but without attracting media attention.